What's going on Instagram? I've just updated my new website at geeklytraining.com. I've got a new theme, new prices, and new testimonials. Go check it out.
Here we go.
What's good, YouTube? This is the second episode to the clean eating video, and in this video we're going to talk about the absolute first thing on the list that I talked about in the last video as to how a food can actually be bad for you. Number one, it contributes to an excess amount of calories, which leads to a high surplus and causes obesity. This was supported in a study that I'll put here on the screen by Hill et al. In this study, they really help with the understanding and comprehensive part of understanding how obesity can become an epidemic. Putting that study into short for you pretty much, and how a food can actually contribute to excess calories and lead to a high surplus, which leads to obesity. Let me say this, there is no evidence whatsoever that a food will cause more fat gain than the excess calorie it provides. So, for example, if your maintenance calories, so the amount of calories that you keep your weight the same at, is 3,000 calories, and you eat a honey bun, that's 200 calories, it will not contribute to more than 200 calories of excess fat in your body, because that is all that it actually has within the honey bun. So, if you're at a 3,000 calorie maintenance and you eat 2 bananas for 200 calories, you will then have 200 calories of excess fat, supposedly. It's the exact same thing as the honey bun. There is also, on the other side of the spectrum, no such evidence that any food will actually help you lose a certain amount of fat. So you can't eat oranges and apples to lose fat specifically unless you are in a deficit. So again, if you are eating at your exact maintenance calories of 3,000, then eating specific foods will not help burn fat. Technically, any food can be bad for you, from chicken to rice to vegetables to fruits, if it contributes to an excess amount of calories. So just as I stated, this includes chicken, rice, beans, fruit, pasta, ice cream, literally any food you can think of. If it contributes to an excess amount of calories, it can be bad for you. The reason many people consider things such as rice, chicken, vegetables clean and good for you is because they're much harder to overeat and hit 3,000, 4,000 calories on, and then thus cause a very high surplus for some people, which can lead to obesity. And in this case, these people will then also refer to things like soda, ice cream, cookies, anything baked, and really any sweet foods as bad, because they can more easily and quickly lead to a high surplus of foods and thus to obesity. Now, on the other side of things, a lot of people do find it harder sometimes to gain or maintain their weight, and thus have to be able to do so on higher calories, like myself. There was a point when my activity level and my metabolism were so high that I was maintaining my weight off of 6,000 calories. In that specific case, it was a lot more useful for me to use calorie-dense foods in order to help meet my caloric needs. So when you have 6,000 calories, it's going to be extremely hard to eat 1 cup of rice, which just say is 100 calories, and reach 6,000 calories eventually by the end of the day. If you're eating chicken, rice, and vegetables, it's going to be very hard in order to hit that amount just to maintain your weight. But by utilizing things like Pop-Tarts and waffles and things like that, you can very easily and more readily get to a higher caloric amount more quickly, because they're not as satiating and are much more calorie dense. In short, you can eat a lot more of them, not be as full, and reach your caloric need that you need to. So in my case, again, that was very helpful because I had a very high caloric amount to hit. So in short, for this video, you're going to need to remember 2 things. 1, just because you could potentially overconsume a food doesn't mean you actually will. So soda, which is very easy to drink, put down, and is not very satiating, could easily lead to a high caloric surplus. But that doesn't mean that you need to drink the whole 2-liter bottle. So you need to have the willpower to not binge on these bad foods, or even the good foods, really any food that leads to an excess caloric surplus. On the other hand of things, for people like myself and friends of mine that have higher metabolisms, people watching this video that have higher metabolisms, some people need to eat a lot more. And in this case, foods that are very calorically dense and are not as satiating as other foods can be at your advantage to help you reach that extremely high caloric amount. In this case, I'm going to provide 3 studies that also help support this idea that you may need to eat more less satiating and more calorically dense foods in order to reach your caloric goal of whether it's maintaining your weight or putting yourself into a slight surplus of 300 or 500 calories. In one of these studies, it was done on cyclists where there was eating, drinking, and cycling. The other study is elite Kenyan distance runners, and the third study, anorexia nervosa treatment. In this video, I would like to keep it shorter, so I'm not going to dive into these studies all on their own as I did in the last video. If you want more supporting evidence, then here it is for you.
Here we go.